Hello and welcome to today's webinar brought to you by, well, me and Fernandez Fit. I want to thank all of you for joining me today. And for those of you who have signed up for the webinar but aren't able to make it today or are coming a little bit late, we like to be fashionably late, you're missing out so far. Just kidding. No need to worry though. Obviously join in when you can. And this webinar is also being recorded. So everyone who signed up, whether you could make it today or not, is going to get a link to the replay. So I've got you covered with that. But I am going to start things off for those of you that are with me now with a couple of questions from me. And I'm going to say by a show of hands, obviously, Cheryl, I'm not going to be able to see your hand, but by a show of hands, how many of you believe that our mindset sets the tone for how each day of our lives unfold? Show of hands. I'm assuming your hand is up, Cheryl. Your hand is up. I'm assuming so. And really everybody's hand should be up. That's an absolute given, because I know for me, I know when I get up in the morning, if my mindset isn't exactly where it needs to be, I need to take that time to make sure it is for myself, for my loved ones, for all of you, everybody I help, each and every day. If I'm not 100% dialed in, how could I expect anyone else to be 100% dialed in? So I need to take that time. All right, next show of hands question. How many of you take stock of the state of your mindset? Really pinpoint where it's at and how and why you got there on a consistent basis.
My hand would not be up right
now. Your hand would not be up. I'm going to raise my hand. It didn't always used to be that way. I am going to admit that. It didn't always used to be that way. And that's in there. And not seeing hands, I'll be honest with you, I'm not surprised. I didn't expect to see many, if any, hands. And the reason I say that, is because oftentimes when we think of health and fitness, we're thinking about the nutritional side of things. We're thinking about the physical fitness side of things. Mindset tends to be forgotten, an afterthought. And frankly, and I was guilty of it for a long, long time. And frankly, it's got to be the most important thing. And because I say this all the time, we may call it physical fitness. Oh, let me grab one here. Give me 1 second while I admit Sassy into the room. I'm curious to see who Sassy is. I have a feeling I know who it is, but I want to make sure. But I'll continue on. What we call it physical fitness, but let's face it, it's so much more mental and emotional. If our mind's not in the right place, if our heart's not in the right place, guess what? Everything else doesn't fall into place like we want it to. Welcome to Sassy, by the way. I was just saying, I'm curious to see who that is. I have a feeling I know who it is, but I don't want to say it because I might be wrong. So once you join in, just go ahead and turn your camera on if you're able to, and let us know who you are and see if I'm right, see if I guessed right. Well, we were just talking about the mindset side of things and how it tends to be forgotten, tends to be an afterthought, and why in my book, especially once I started my own health and fitness journey a little over a decade ago, it had to become number one on the list. Absolutely had to become number one on the list. Because think about it. Think about how often our health has taken a back seat to everyone and everything else that we prioritize in our lives and everything that we find important, especially when we're talking about our families, our jobs, our career. Think about all the times we said something like this: I'll do it if I have time, or I'm going to try to squeeze it in later, or man, I just ran out of time, I'll do it tomorrow. How many times have we said that to ourselves, said that to our, out loud, and honestly believed it? And that just goes to show that we say that often enough, all of a sudden mindset, which needs to be a priority, suddenly becomes an afterthought. Suddenly becomes something that's completely forgotten, something that we don't think about at all. I know for me personally, I would say, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week. I'll start the first of the month. January 1st is coming, New Year's. I'm going to start then. And then next thing you know, what happens? Months and months and months go by, and guess what? We're back at it in the new year, wondering why we didn't start things in the first place. For anybody who isn't muted, if you could mute your computers, that would be great. I appreciate it. Although I do appreciate hearing the dog in the background. That's cool. Anytime there's dogs barking, I'm a happy guy. Now, think about the impact that having our mindset where it needs to be. Think about what it can do for each one of us moving forward. If I were to say, take the time for the next 12 months, one day at a time, to really focus on your mindset, not just when it comes to us individually, but how it impacts everyone around us. Imagine the positive changes that could be made, just in 12 short months. And we all know that 12 months may seem like, hi, Samantha, how are you? That's who I thought it was. I just saw her pop up on the Zoom chat. That's who I thought it was, but I didn't want to say it in case I was wrong. But think about the impact that would have, not just on our lives, but those around us. Because let's face it, what we're talking about here is generational health. It's not just about us, not just about us individually, but we're talking about our family members, our kids' kids, their kids' kids. Think about, the example that we can set for all the generations moving forward. What we teach our own family, they're going to teach to their families, and they're going to teach to their families, and right on down the line. Let me share you a little bit of a story, and you may have, I know I've written about this a lot, and I've shared it with many of you, especially those of you who I've worked with either in the past or currently. Bruce, welcome. Appreciate you joining in. You gave us all away, Bruce Green in. We're starting to pick up more people. That's good. For me and Cheryl, I know Cheryl and I were talking about this off camera just before we started, when she saw for the first time the side-by-side picture of me when I was at my heaviest and when I was at my fittest. And she said the same thing to me that so many people have said before. Man, that doesn't even look like you. And it doesn't. I look at it now and wonder how that could have possibly been me, but it was. And the biggest difference between Victor 10, 12 years ago, who was 248.2 pounds, and yes, I know it down to the ounce, and I committed it to memory for a very particular reason, because I always wanted to remember where I was and how I got there. So I can look forward to how I got here and continue following those positive habits and not letting those old bad habits creep back into play. And the biggest difference between me back then and me now, aside from the weight loss, of course, is my mindset. I've said this many times before. I was an absolute jerk back then, an ass, really, to everyone around me, my family especially, and the way I felt about myself, I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to cope with it. I certainly didn't know how to correct it. So what did I do? I did the easy thing. I projected on everyone else. It was always somebody else's fault or something that they did. I would get upset with them because, frankly, I wasn't happy with myself. And until, yes, I worked with a trainer back then, and she did a great job helping me get to where I am today. But ultimately, I had to do the work, and that started up here. That started up here and worked my way down. We got another one in the group. I love it. I love it. We're starting to build up. I like it. But it had to start here, because for years, people think that maybe for a couple decades I didn't work out at all. I did. I tried. I did what I thought I needed to do. I thought my mindset was where it needed to be. And ultimately, after a month or two, I would quit. I'd get so frustrated with myself that I'd quit, because I never took the time. I was so focused on trying to eat right, even though I didn't know what I was doing. I focused on the fitness side of things, even though really I didn't know what I was doing. But I never once took the opportunity to really understand why I was the way I was and try to do something about it, to change it, to give myself the best opportunity, to move forward and to get healthy. And that's still my biggest regret to this day, is that I waited until I was in my late 30s to start getting healthy, because I stop and think about all the time, where would I be right now? I'm 3 years into my health and fitness coaching career. Maybe I could have been 20 years in. Who knows? I mean, so much more could have changed between then and now if I had just taken the time, to take care of myself, starting with my mindset. So this is why this just so everybody knows, this is the motivation, the reason behind why I wanted to do, this webinar. I'll fill some people that joined us a little bit late in on a few things. I already shared it with a few people that came at the beginning. We will have a question and answer portion towards the end. I do have the chat box open. So if anybody has any comments or questions, or just wants to tell me who Sassy is, as Samantha has done, feel free to drop them in the box. If I can get them in while I'm doing my presentation, I'll be more than happy to. Worst case scenario, we'll get it in the question and answer. Question and answer can go as long as you want it to be. I'm here for you guys for however many questions you have, however many comments, thoughts, anything you want to share. I'm here as long as you need me to be here. We are recording this, so you will get a link for this, after the webinar is done. So you're able to go back and check it out again if you missed anything or want to confirm anything that you heard along the way. You're going to get a link for that. One thing that, as I said earlier, I'm going to be 100% transparent. I'm not selling anybody on anything today. No money will exchange hands today. Reason for that is this is about helping people. This is about all of us coming together and really, let's face it, helping each other. But if you do and you stick with me till the end, yes, there's the catch. If you stick with me to the end, there is a free gift coming your way, and I will share that with you towards the end, along with a special offer that are interconnected. So I wanted to share that for everybody who just joined me. What I am going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Gotta love technology here. Let's see, where are we here? There we go. All right, so can everybody see what it says? Training your mind, training your body on the cover. Everybody can thumbs up. All right, good. If anybody can't, or if you can't hear me, unmute, tell me, or wave at me, whatever you got to do to get my attention is fine with me. And as you can see, what we're trying to do here, training your mind, training your body, and it goes in that order specifically. There's a reason for that. Because like I said earlier, without our mindset in place, without our mind dialed in, without our heart dialed in, the rest of it really won't happen. As we all know, I'm sure we've all tried. I know I have tried and failed in the past with a physical fitness program. And it wasn't because I couldn't eat right. It wasn't because I didn't know how to lift weights or hop on a treadmill and walk or run. It was because my mind wasn't right. I wasn't in the right frame of mind to not just do it, but do it properly and do it consistently long term. So that's a big reason why we're doing this. So it's overcoming those mental and emotional barriers. So let's face it, to create the best version of ourselves, which is an everyday process. To say I'm at my best version, I'd be lying if I said that. So I think it's something that we're all going to be doing until we're no longer on this earth. Telling you a little something about myself. Some of you I've worked with either previously or currently. Some of you I have not. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm not missing anybody hopping on here, but so far so good. I launched my current business, Fernandez Fit LLC, 1 year ago this month. It was actually almost right about, I think today or tomorrow will be the 1 year anniversary. I didn't plan it that way. It just kind of worked out that way. But the date I definitely want you to pay attention to is April 2020. And we know that date being that we were in the height of the pandemic shutdown at that point in time. And that's when I opened my health and fitness coaching business, because for the first time, I was unemployed. I'm 50 years old, so I would have been right about 48 at that time. I was unemployed for the first time. And I'll tell you, that sucked. And for a lot of, and for millions and millions of people who were in the same boat. And I know for me, I sat around this house for a week or two, not really knowing which direction I was going. If I was going up, down, left, right, I had no idea, and I didn't know how to change it. And one day I realized, you know what, I got to do something. I got to do something to get me moving, get my body moving, which is why I went to what was then a pretty much empty garage that I have and started working out. I had a few things here and there that I could use. And then I started thinking, well, why can't I turn this space into a gym, if for no other reason but for myself, to get myself out of the house and do something while we're going through all this. And the more I got into it, the more I felt my mind starting to get where it needed to be. And sure enough, here we are now, almost 2 years later, and I'm able to run my own business, which I love. It's scary, I'll tell you this much, but I wouldn't change it for the world, would not trade it for the world at all. I got my certification back in May 2018. So I've been doing this now, and so going on 4 years now, certified online fitness coach, fitness nutrition specialist. You can see it all there. I've worked with people ages 16 to 83 and everywhere in between. Rich, welcome. Appreciate you being able to join in. But the one I want to show you is the next one. And this is, oh, there we go. I'm going to move this out of the way. As I had said earlier, that was my weight at my heaviest about 12 years ago, 248.2 pounds. I was in my late 30s. I was 38 years old, but I can tell you at that weight, I felt a hell of a lot older. I was married, father of 3 boys. I was 2 decades into my sports journalism career, covering all sorts of sports. You would think I'd be happy, but I wasn't. I was as unhappy as I'd ever been in my life at that time, because every time I looked in a mirror, I saw the truth. I saw what I looked like, but really how I felt and what I thought of myself. It wasn't even so much that I was overweight, and not even so much that I was unhealthy. I just didn't like who I'd become. And as I'd said earlier, my family faced the brunt of it. And I'm not proud of that fact, not at all. Because I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't have the confidence, I didn't have the knowledge, to figure out how to get myself out of that, how to turn my life around. I waited for things to happen. We've all said it, I'll do it when, when the time is right. I'll do it when, the first of the year comes. I'll do it when, I've paid off my car, or I've paid off these bills. We're always looking for that perfect moment or that perfect time to do something. And I'm going to tell you right now that there's no such thing as perfection. We can wait in our entire lives and we'll never find it, because perfection, first of all, doesn't exist, because, let's face it, it's not reality. That's number one. And number two, let's say we find perfection. Does that mean we just stop? We just stop living? We just stop growing? Or do we find that next level? Do we break through that proverbial glass ceiling and see what else is there? I know where I'm at right now. I love where I'm at right now, but I know it's not where I want to stay. I know it's not where I'm going to be for the rest of my life. I know there's more to me than what I've done so far. There's more to all of us moving forward. I just turned 50 back in November. And, I pray, I hope, I believe that I'm only halfway through my life right now. Maybe tomorrow's my last day, maybe a year, maybe 10, maybe 20, maybe 50 years from now. But until then, because that's really the only guarantee in life is that we're going to die someday. Until then, I'm going to continue pursuing greater and greater happiness, greater and greater goals. And that's where the mindset comes in. Because me 10, 12 years ago, that photo that you saw, that photo that you see right here, there's me, 248.2 pounds. There's me when I was about 185. For me, that person on the left was scared as hell. You see a smile on my face, wasn't happy. That was all an act. It was all show. It was all to keep everybody around me from, well, really feeling sorry for me, feeling bad for me, being worried about me, because I felt like I had to do it all on my own, and I ultimately I didn't, and let's face it, I talked a good game back then. All the things I was going to do that I never did, oh, went a little too far. There we go. But then came the transformation. Started working with a trainer just before, my 11-year-old son was born. I realized, what, if I wanted to be around for a long time and see his milestone moments in life, high school, first step, high school graduation, college graduation, getting married, having a family of his own, I needed to do something about it. And I needed to change up here first before I could do anything else. And I lost over 70 pounds. And did losing 70 pounds, make me a better husband, a better father, a better man? No. Made me healthier, didn't make me better. The way I viewed myself, the way I believed in myself, the confidence I showed in myself, and my, ability to take risks and to just do something, create imperfect action. That's what proved that I'd become, in my mind, a better person. And I couldn't be happier that I did that. Absolutely could not be happier that I did that. I'll move this out of the way here a little bit. There we go. Got to keep moving the boxes around because they get in my way. So, because ultimately, here's what I want you to take away from my story, because we all have our own story, and I challenge all of you to sit down and write it out. Share it with people. Share it with your loved ones. Share it with friends. I challenge you. I don't want to call it a homework assignment, but let's make it a homework assignment. Take the opportunity to share your story. I know it's, as much as I love sharing it with everyone out there in Facebook and social media and all that, and with all of you today, in hopes that it resonates with even one of you, it's cathartic for me. It makes me feel better. I appeared in a podcast recently and I shared my story, and then I listened to that podcast when it aired, and I realized, man, it just made me feel so much better, almost like more of a weight lifted off my shoulders. So I definitely challenge all of you to write that out, read it out loud, share it with those around you, because it's going to sound as real as it ever has, and it's going to give you that motivation, that desire to really do something about it. And what I'm going to do is give you some tips as to why and how you can get this done, because it starts with generational health, and it starts with you. It started with me. To help others, those around you, your family, your friends, aspire to be the best versions of themselves, we have to set that example. We have to show the way. I do that with my own family. I do that with my clients. And when I see my clients making gains and reaching goals, it gives me motivation. They help me, because it shows that the mindset shift is happening. And that's, I talk with clients. I've got some of you on here today who I've worked with before or currently work with, and I see it. I see that shift in your body language. I see that shift in how hard you're working and how hard you push yourselves. And I see that shift in just how you talk, the words you use, the tone you use, the inflection you use. It's little things that maybe you don't even realize, but it's there. And I can see that mindset is shifting. So the more you can do that with yourselves and really be intentional with it, the more you'll be a source, of inspiration, motivation, desire for everyone around you. Be that shining light that's going to lead the way for everyone else. Here's the biggest one. And I want to start with this one first, because without this, the rest that I'm going to show you really doesn't matter. And it's building your core values. And I've had to do that multiple times over the years, specifically first when I started my own fitness journey, and along the way, of course, but especially when I started my business, Because frankly, if we don't know what our core values are, if we don't know what the code, the rules that we live by are, how do we know if we're living our best life? You know, and core values can be what you want them to be. You can interpret them any way you need to interpret them that are going to fit into your life and your everyday activities, your family, your friends, your career, everything. You know, I want to share with you mine, and some or all of these may fall in line with what all of you believe. But, you know, show of hands, and if you have your cameras on, especially show of hands, how many of you have stopped to really think about what your true core values are, the rules you truly live by? Anyone? Man, not a whole lot of hands. Granted, a couple of cameras are off, so you know, I'm not sure if Paul and Sassy are raising their hands or not. But again, I'm not surprised. You know, and everybody can hear me okay, correct? Thumbs up. Perfect. All right, good. That's what I wanted to hear. You know, and I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anyone. No. Okay, good. Hold on. Come on. There we go. Sorry about that. All right. Here are mine. You know, and what I'm going to ask you to do, obviously you don't need to do that right now while we're doing the webinar, but you know, the challenge that I'm going to set forth for you is to get crystal clear on your core values and create what I call I will statements. You know, that not just tell us what your core values are, but how you implement them in your everyday life with your family, in your career, with your friends. You know, and I had to do this recently. So, you know, my coach, one of my coaches, Jonathan Loudermilk, and yes, coaches have coaches. My coaches have coaches. And there's a reason for that, because we're also a work in progress. We might be teaching people, you know, how to build their core values, how to get in shape, how to be physically fit, but we're also human beings. We're also people that need to work on ourselves as well. So we all have coaches. And this is an assignment, if you will, that my own coach gave to me just recently in the last week or two, really to sit down and really refocus on my core values. First one is balance. And that means I will invest time in myself. You know, let me paint a picture for everyone. How many times have we, you know, worked tons and tons of overtime, taking time away from our families? How many times have we just gotten so focused on what we need to do during the course of the day that we haven't set time aside for ourselves, you know, to practice self-care, you know, to be able to, you know, take care of ourselves? Let's face it, a lot of us don't do that, you know, don't do that at all, you know, and for the longest time I didn't. There was always something more important. There was always something more important. Family. This is where I really, really struggled for a long, long time, you know, because I wasn't doing what I needed to do as a husband, as a father, as a leader of my family. You know, I will provide unconditional support to my loved ones so they can pursue their best lives. It isn't just about me. It isn't just about us. You know, I do what I do because I care about all of you. I care about all of you. I want to see you all live your best lives, because when I see you guys all happy, it makes me happy. Same thing with my own family. And I wasn't doing that for a long time. So I had to remember that I came first, my family came first, and that had to be the way all the time. Unconditional. As you see in big, bold letters here, I could have even made it even bigger. Non-negotiable. It's not a goal. It's not a wish list. It's non-negotiable. Because it has to be this way no matter what's going on in your life. No matter how busy you are at work, you need that time for yourself. No matter how busy life gets, no matter how many balls you're juggling up in the air, you got to be there for your family each and every day, and you have to be intentional about it. Integrity. I got to imagine for a lot of us, this one's going to be, if not number one, near the top of the list. I will do what I say when I say I'm going to do it. Once again, non-negotiable. And if I don't, that's on me. That's absolutely on me if I don't do that. And I've got nobody to blame but myself because I've let people down. So I will do what I say when I say I'm going to do it each and every time. Purpose. I will make a difference, not in my family's life, but certainly in everyone I come across. All of you. I've worked with some of you. I've worked with some of you now. And I hope that I'm making a difference in your life. That's what I set out to do. And each and every one of you, again, purpose. We all have a purpose in life. And it wasn't to just be born and then one day die. That's not our purpose. And to be honest, for some of us, we may not have yet found our purpose in life. So I challenge you to really sit back and think about that. Think about, assess your life where it is right now. And I'm not saying everybody's life is bad. Our lives are where they are for a reason. And I'm not saying that we're unhappy either. What I am saying is that we all have a purpose in life, and it may not be exactly what it is we're doing right now. How many of you have thought about, doing something more with your life? How many of you have thought about, there you go. Thank you, Paul. How many of you have thought about, the job I have I like it, but it isn't quite what I want to do. Or maybe there's a career shift in mind. I spoke with a fellow, I belong to a group called Fit Pro Collective, a fellow, we call them family members. So a fellow family member of mine just last night for quite a while, talking about, and he's talking about a career shift. He's about my age, and man, can I speak to that, because I changed careers at age 47 after 26 years in sports journalism, complete about face to the health and fitness industry. And if it wasn't for getting my mindset where it needed to be, there was no way. Paula didn't raise her hand either. Thank you, Paula. I guess I should keep my chat window open here sometimes. There we go. There was, if my mindset wasn't clear, if I didn't believe in myself, if I didn't, have confidence in myself, there's no way I'd be where I am right now, trying to help as many people as I can. So think about that. Get crystal clear on your values, your core values, sit down and write them out, and then write them out in I will statements. I will this. You'll be amazed, and be honest with yourself. Share them with your family. I challenge you to go to your family and say, hey, here are my core values. Am I meeting them? Maybe they'll lie to you to be nice. Maybe they'll be honest with you and really tell you what they think. I know if I asked my wife right now, I know exactly what she'd tell me. In some ways, yes. In some ways, maybe not. Not every day. I mean, we're human. But I guarantee you she would tell me exactly where it is where I can do more. So I definitely challenge you to be crystal clear with your core values. You'll be amazed at what you'll find out about yourself and what you want to do moving forward. I mean, it's going to answer some questions. I'm telling you right now, it's going to absolutely answer some questions. All right. Next up, past and present. And what I mean by that is that you can't move forward if you don't address the past. And for me, that was one of the hardest things I ever had to do, because let's face it, what's the main reason why fitness programs fail? It isn't because of the program itself, it's because of us. It's because of us. Our mindset isn't in the right place. We haven't taken the time to address the past, what's failed us in the past. Because I talk to people a lot about, when they talk about stress eating. I'll give you an example. They talk about stress eating, and I ask them why. And they really don't know. He was, oh, I was doing great for a while. And then I had something kind of rough happen in my life, and I started stress eating again. And I asked them why, and they don't know. They haven't taken the time to assess what was causing it. You know, stress eating, we turn to food to cope with something, as an example. Some of us may turn to eating. Some of us may turn to drinking. Some of us may turn to smoking. You know, we have something that we turn to that serves as a coping mechanism, as a de-stressor of sorts. You know, but we never stop and think why that is. We never stop and try to address why that is. And once we do that, now we can move forward. You know, now we can move forward. What's one of the biggest things we do? We make excuses. I mean, how many have done this? Oh man, I'm just too busy at work, or I've got the kids, I got to shuttle them to soccer practice, and little Susie has a dance recital, and little Jimmy has Cub Scouts, and I'm going in 100 different directions. So I don't possibly have time to train, to eat right, to get my mind right. When in fact you do. And I know that because that was me. You know, I changed the names and the activities, but that was me. You know, so take the time to understand that excuses aren't going to get you anywhere. Aren't going to get you anywhere. It's going to leave you right where you're at right now. So if you're not happy with what you're doing, if you're not happy with where you're at, if you're not happy with where your fitness level is at, it's time to do something about it. And that means stop making the excuses and start focusing on what you need to do moving forward to make that happen. So here's what I want you to take away from this section. Why? One question, why? And it's time to be, like I wrote there, brutally honest with yourselves. Because we all have to do it. We all have to face facts at some point. And answer these questions. What do you want? Why do you want it? And what are you willing to do to get there? That's the biggest one of the three in my estimation. Oh, I'm going to let somebody in. There we go. That's the biggest one. What are you willing to do to get there? Because let's face it, we all know what we want. If we stop and think about it, we can't fool ourselves. We might be able to fool other people around us, but if we looked in the mirror, there's just no way we're going to fool ourselves. So if we really sat and really thought about it, what do you want? I know I wanted to help people. I know that I had information and insight, and stories and dare I say wisdom, to share from my own personal experiences. And if I could help even one person, then that was my purpose. Going back to our core values, that was my purpose. And so that's what I wanted to do. Well, why do I want it? Because I knew what somebody helping me, people helping me, my family, my friends, my trainers, helping me, what that did for me, how it helped me change my life, because I wasn't doing it going it alone. It just wasn't happening. So again, being brutally honest with myself that I just wasn't strong enough to do it on my own. What are you willing to do about it to get there, to get where you want to be, to get what you want, and to fulfill why you want to do it? That's where a lot of us get stuck. Because what happens here, we say it, it sounds good. And then when it's time to, I'm going to be cliche-ish, put money where your mouth is, when rubber meets the road, all those great cliches, that Paul, you and I used in sports all the time. We don't want, then we're not willing to do everything we need to do to make it happen. That's the main reason I hired a trainer, because I knew at the very least that if I didn't want to do it, she was there waiting for me, prepared to go. And I knew that at the very least, I wasn't going to disappoint her. Again, I sat down and was brutally honest with myself as to where I stood and how I was going to be able to do it. And it wasn't going to be alone. And at that point, I decided I was going to do whatever it takes, whatever she told me to do, I was going to do, no matter what, non-negotiable. Going back once again, if you notice, I keep kind of going back to those core values I talked about a little earlier. You know, what are you willing to do to get there? Because if you're not willing to do it, it's not going to work. You're not going to get where you want to be. And you're going to get frustrated. You're going to quit. You're going to be that proverbial hamster on the wheel that's going really, really fast, but isn't going anywhere, isn't getting anywhere. So here's what I suggest everybody does. It's going to be real when you start thinking about this stuff. If it doesn't make you uncomfortable, you're not trying hard enough. Because if you're not truly where you want to be, there's reasons why, and they're going to be reasons that you're not going to want to hear. You're not going to want to see, but they're there anyway, and you need to see them. You need to hear them. You know, so you want to find constructive ways to do that. Channel your emotions. Take time for yourself. Do some reading. Listen to music. Work out. When I'm in my garage gym and that door is closed, that's my time. No one else's time, my time. And I'll be honest, if I have things to think about, that's where I go. That's where I go to take the time to really sit down and say to myself, all right, here's the problem I'm dealing with. How do I deal with it? And be really, really honest with myself on how I was screwing up to be in that situation in the first place. So that's what I want. Those three questions. Take the time to answer those three questions, brutally honest with yourselves. Anybody have any questions, comments, anything so far? Feel free to throw them on the Zoom chat box here. And like I said, I will get to them either during the presentation or certainly during the question and answer portion at the end. For those of you who came in late, appreciate you joining in. You haven't missed anything. You are going to get a link to this as well after the webinar is done. So whatever you missed, you'll be able to go back and watch and listen to. And stick with me to the end. I do have a free gift for you at the end. It's going to be cool. It's going to tie into what we're talking about here. And I'll also have a special offer for you at the end as well. Again, going to tie into what we're talking about today. So stick with me to the end. Trust me, you won't be sorry. All right, so I asked the question why. Now we're going to ask that along with what. I should say when. Sorry about that typo on my part. Why, what, when, and how. And why we're doing that is because we got to be clear with our intentions. You got to be clear with your expectations. You know, we talk about, what do you, when I talk to a new prospective client, I always talk about, well, what do you want? What do you want to happen? What do you want to do? I want to lose weight. Well, that can mean a lot of things. That can mean 1 ounce. That could be 100 pounds. Be clear with your intentions. Be specific. And I'm going to touch on that in a little more detail here very, very shortly. The why. That's always number one. Why are you doing this? Where are you going to draw motivation from to do the work? Where is the discipline going to come from to do it when motivation wanes? I know I get asked this a lot. How do I motivate myself? How do you motivate yourself? And I have, my family motivates me. My clients motivate me. When my clients work hard, I'll be damned if I won't. Because everything they do, I'm doing. If my family's doing right by us as a family, I'll be damned if I'm not going to do the same. So why am I doing this? Why are we doing this? I'm doing this particular webinar because I know the one thing that people so often struggle with is their mindset. And I know how much of a struggle it is because I experienced it. And to be honest, still do. But, I want to impart the information, the insight that I've developed over many years of screwing up, that allows me to help others move forward, not make the same mistakes I did or correct the ones they've made. So find that why. That's something that pushes you. The what? Got to have a plan. Got to pinpoint what that plan's going to be. I tell people all the time, my clients, they hear it from me all the time. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. The simpler you can make it, the better, the more likely you'll stick with it. And again, but that's got to be in your mind. The first thing I hear about all the time when people talk to me about why they're not progressing, I ask them what they're doing, what their workout plan is, what their eating habits are like. And the first word that comes to mouth is overcomplicated. You know, people think it has to be overcomplicated and hard for it to work. I'm here to tell you it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. And frankly, the more overcomplicated and complex it is and hard it is, the more likely it is we'll fail, because it's just so hard. We're human beings. You know, we're flawed. We all are. So if we try something that we just can't sustain and maintain for long periods of time, guess what? We're going to burn out and we're not going to continue doing it. The when. Schedule your time. If I were to show you, and it's probably chicken scratch like this, I don't know if everybody can see this on my camera here, is if you saw my calendar, that wasn't my calendar, by the way, I was just using that as a prop. But if you saw my calendar, the way it's written out, it's chicken scratch. You can't read what it says, only I can, but it's completely filled with everything I have to do that day. And I'm not just talking about what I have to do at work. I'm not just talking about having to go to the grocery store to get groceries. You know, I'm not talking about my to-do list that I have to get done that day. I'm talking about when I eat my meals, when I work out, when I sit down to read just to clear my mind. You know, all the little self-care aspects of my life that I know I need to have, that we all need to have, they're on my calendar. And that's my time. You know, there are no gaps in my schedule because I fill it with everything I need to do that day for myself and for those around me, for all of you. So schedule it, because what happens when we don't schedule it, when we don't put it in pen and, you know, put it in ink on paper or in your phone, it falls by the wayside. Oh man, I just ran out of time today. I got stuck at work for an extra hour. I had to finish this project and I just don't have time to go to the gym, or I'm just going to run through the, through the drive-through at McDonald's. And I'm not disparaging McDonald's or anything, but I'm going to run through the drive-through and just grab, a hamburger and fries and a soda because it's late. It's 8 o'clock. I don't have time to go home and make a good meal. Schedule it into your day, plan ahead, because that's going to make it, what's going to happen is you're going to start developing those positive habits that we all need. And the how are you going to put it into play? How are you going to implement that plan and actually create action out of it? Be consistent with it. Be intentional with it. There's a reason why you're doing it. Understand that reason and apply that and apply that. Use that as the motivation, the source of discipline that helps you push forward, even on those days where you don't want to do it. And we all have those days. I have those days more often than I care to admit, because I'm human. We're all human. But again, I push through because I'm clear with my intentions as to what I want to do, why I want to do it, when I want to do it, and how I want to do it. So far, so good. Everybody with me so far? We got a lot of cameras off, so I can't see everybody. Here's the takeaway from all this. Set realistic expectations for yourself. The worst thing you can do is to try to literally try to bite off more than you can chew. It's not a nutrition joke. It's just a fact of life. We want to say, I want to lose 20 pounds in the first month. Is it possible? Sure, it's possible. Anything's possible, really. But can you get it done? Chances are not. Can you get it done in a healthy way? Absolutely not. So be realistic with what your expectations are. Set yourself goals, challenge yourself with them, but understand they need to be realistic and they need to apply to you and your individual life. There's, again, purpose behind it. Going back to those core values once more. You see a trend developing here. And ask yourself this one question. When the motivation wanes, when you wake up that morning and you just don't have a whole lot of energy, and I see the memes and photos out there on Facebook all the time, here's a live look at just how much energy I had, and you see somebody collapsed on the ground, or with their hair all over the place trying to drink a cup of coffee, how will you push through to get the job done? Again, be intentional with those answers to those questions, because only then are you going to be able to move forward. All right, I'm getting a little bit behind myself. I like to talk a lot, as you can see. So, so again, if anybody has any questions, comments, drop them in the Zoom chat. I'll be more than happy to get to them as we go along, and we'll have our Q&A towards the end as well. Next up, set your priorities and your boundaries. And this lends itself to the why, how, what, and when that we just spoke about. Your health and well-being, yourself, you needs to be number one. We like to say our families come first. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But at the same time, if we're not at our best, if we're not at our healthiest, how can we possibly be at our best for everyone around us? How can we possibly do right 100% of the time for everyone around us if we're not taking care of ourselves first? If we're dealing with ailments, if we're trying to get out of bed and our back hurts constantly, as it did for me when I was at my heaviest, how could I possibly do for my family when I was having a hard enough time just getting out of bed? So make yourselves number one. It has to be that way. Make your intentions known. I talked about it before. Put your me time on your calendar. When you eat your meals, when you meal prep, if you meal prep, and I highly recommend it, by the way. I don't do it all the time, but I do it. So I highly recommend that. When you train, if you look at my calendar, when I work out is on there. What time and how long. And that's when I go, because when you see it there, let's face it, when we see it there, it's like a grocery list. It's a to-do list. We go down that list and we check one off as we do them. Well, same thing should be with our health. If it's not on there, we forget about it. Everything else takes precedence. Everything else becomes a greater priority. And frankly, as much as we are so tied to our phones and technology, I highly recommend you write it, get an old style calendar. My wife has one to this day, big old calendar. Write it down in pen and have it there in front of you. Treat it as you do everything else on your schedule for that day. And you'll be amazed. Think about it this way. We go to work every day. We do our job every day. We know from this time to that time, we have to go to work and get the job done, or guess what? We get fired. We don't get a paycheck. Same thing has to be for every personal aspect of our lives, especially when it comes to ourselves. If we prioritize it, we're going to do it every day. It's going to be consistent. It's going to be intentional, and it's going to become positive habits that become instinctive and we do every day without even really thinking about it, just like we do everything else. All right. I like this one a lot. It's work smarter, not just harder. And if you notice, I didn't say not harder, because you still got to work hard. But there's something what I like to call SMART goals, something I learned a long time ago when I was first, studying to become a certified personal trainer. First of all, I say keep it simple. I've said that before. I'll say it forever. Keep it simple. But here are some of the steps that lead from the why, what, how, and when. And it's called SMART, S-M-A-R-T. Starting with the S stands for specific. Attach a tangible goal, a number, whatever it may be, and a timetable to your goal, to what you're trying to accomplish. I have an example there, to lose 30 pounds in 6 months. So now we can quantify it now. Again, setting up our minds to understand that's the goal. Make it measurable. If we're trying to lose 30 pounds in 6 months, we can certainly measure that. We can step on the scale. We can measure our body parts to see, measure our waist to see how much it's slimmed down. Have it be a goal that you can measure to keep keep track of it accurately, because what can be measured can be improved. If we're not paying it, I tell people all the time when they're saying, hey, I'm trying to lose weight and I'm eating right, I'm eating clean, Why am I not losing weight? Well, are you tracking what you're eating? Well, no. Then how do you know whether you're under eating or overeating? You just don't. Start tracking. You'll be amazed at what you see. You'll probably see something you never expected to see. Attainable. I said it before, make it realistic. Make it, it pertains to you. So attainable and relevant to me go hand in hand. Set those parameters, set those guidelines that you're going to go by that are attainable for you. Make it relevant to what you want to accomplish. If and I have an example here, if one of your goals is to lose weight, lose 30 pounds in 6 months because you want to be able to keep up with your kids, you're too tired to keep up with them, they got all this energy, you don't. Well, how you attain that goal is going to be far different than if you're trying to get in better shape to run a marathon. Two completely different goals. It can't be one size fits all. You might both be trying to lose 30 pounds in 6 months to accomplish those goals, but how you go about doing it needs to be tied into what you're trying to accomplish. Make it timely. Set a hard deadline. Like I said, I like to keep this under 90 minutes, and that's my goal. Set that hard deadline. You want to lose 30 pounds in 6 months? Pick a day, 6 months from today, whatever that date is, and mark it on your calendar. And that's when you're going to get it done by. Non-negotiable. Because if you don't do that, what do? We keep pushing it off. Once again, mindset. So the takeaway from all this is I have a question to ask you, and then a bit of a, homework assignment, I guess you could call it. And again, as I go along, I find typos in this thing. Hopefully I don't have any English or grammar teachers on the call who are gonna correct in red pen on me here. Because I used to get that a lot in the newspaper industry, so I still have nightmares about that. Ask yourself, can I see myself sustaining my plan long-term, whether it's your fitness plan, whether it's your nutritional plan, whatever it is. Again, stop and think about, can you see yourself sustaining that plan long-term? Beyond 6 months, okay, you've lost 30 pounds in 6 months. Can you see yourself sustaining it long-term? If the answer is no, you need to start switching things around a little bit. You need to dive deeper into what exactly it is you want to accomplish and how you want to go about doing it. And of course, if you've overcomplicated things, as let's face it, we all do, we want to simplify that plan a little bit further. And as we go along, revisit your goals to see if they're still in line with not just what you're trying to accomplish, but once again, I'm going to say it again, core values. Are they in line with that? And if they're not, they need to be, and you need to take the time to do it. So revisit your goals. I know for me, my goals changed 180 degrees. When I first started getting to shape, being a personal trainer was nowhere even in the stratosphere in my mind. Not even close, not a thought about it. But as I went along, I started seeing more and more changes in myself, especially mentally and emotionally. So realizing, I want to help people. I was helping people in the gym while I was getting in shape. I was imparting some of the lessons and thoughts and wisdom that my trainer, gave me, and to try to help them. And I realized, and I loved watching them be able to implement them and use them and get success from them. And I was like, this is cool. I love helping people. All of a sudden, there's that mindset shift. All of a sudden, losing weight and getting healthy wasn't enough anymore. I had other goals in mind, bigger goals in mind. I still do. I revisit my goals all the time. Being able to provide, helpful tips and information like I'm doing today. At least I hope I am. Hope everybody's getting value from this. But it's part of what I want to do. And then there's more that's going to come from here. Same would go for you. We were all placed on this earth for a reason. And we may not have discovered that reason yet. No matter how old we are, we may not have discovered that reason yet. Our purpose may still be ahead of us. Our real purpose in life may still be there in front of us, which is exciting, to be quite honest with you. It excites me. So I hope it excites all of you. All right, let me move there. I got to keep moving boxes out of the way here. All right. These next two are, once again, non-negotiable, because you won't survive. You won't survive on your fitness journey. And forget about survive. You won't thrive on your fitness journey if you don't embrace the process. And I'll give you a sneak peek at the next one. Appreciate the journey. They go hand in hand. I mean, I could have put them on the same page if I'd had the room. Embrace the process means you have a goal in sight. I get it. Lose 30 pounds in 6 months. That's 6 months from now. We're not focused on that. We're focused on what we can do today to make ourselves 1% better than yesterday. That's the goal. What can I do today to improve myself just that little bit? How am I going to handle when I stumble along the way? Because when I stumble, when my body doesn't do what I ask it to do, hey, I lost 3 pounds last week. Why in the world that I didn't lose any this week? I'm doing the same thing I did last week. That's going to happen. That happens to all of us. It's not a linear path, health and fitness. It just isn't. I mean, it's going to have your ups and downs and your ebbs and flows, your highs and lows. I'm going to start rhyming here. Nobody wants to see me do that. So it's how you react and respond, knowing that some days you're going to see the results of the hard work that you've put forth. Some days you won't. And that's okay. You're going to see that you're going to stay focused on the task at hand. Staying in the moment and focusing on what you need to do right now. But again, that all starts up here. If that little example that I gave, I've seen so many people, they get on such a high because they lost more than they envisioned that week. I lost 3 pounds. I figured I'd only lose 1. And they're on such a high. They're so excited for the new week. And then they weigh themselves in the following week and they gained a pound. And then whew, straight on down the hill, careening down that hill. And we got to stay level-headed. We got to stay in the moment. We got to understand that there's going to be twists and turns that we have to accept and expect, and understand that, let's face it, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to get upset. You're going to be disappointed. You're going to be happy. You're going to be unhappy. You're going to wonder, why in the hell am I doing this? I'm not getting what I want out of it. And realizing that there's a bigger picture. And ultimately, I probably should have put this one in even bigger, bold letters. You just won't quit. You just won't quit. Because ultimately what we're doing here, and I really want you to listen to this part of it, you're building a healthy lifestyle. It's not just about losing weight. It's not just about gaining muscle. It's not just about running a marathon or a 5K or whatever it may be. It's about developing a healthy lifestyle. So if you're not where you want to be, once you get there, you stay there. You don't go back to the way it used to be. That's why I remember how much I weighed at my heaviest, 248.2. I can recite that in my sleep. Because I want to remember where I was so I never go back there again. As I said, appreciate the journey. Enjoy the wins. And there's no win too small. Just because you didn't lose any weight this week doesn't mean that you don't feel better. You don't feel like you have more energy. Appreciate that. Enjoy that. Savor that. Because let's face it, and I know a lot of us get fixated on the scale. And again, that's a mindset thing. That's a mental, emotional thing. We get fixated on what the scale says, and we base our wins and losses, our success and failure on what that scale says. If I lost weight, I've won. If I've gained weight or haven't lost weight, I've lost. And that's simply not the case. So here's what I want you to ask yourselves each and every day. Look in the mirror if you have to. And it's going to seem strange in the beginning. Trust me on that one, but it's well worth doing, because once again, you can't fool yourself. How do your clothes fit? How is your energy level? And what do you see in the mirror? I'll share a quick story. I don't want to go too far off track time-wise, but I've had a client of mine who lost 2 pounds in all the time that we worked together. Her goal was to get into a pair of skinny jeans from college 25 years ago. Lost 2 pounds. Within 3-4 months, she was in those jeans. Didn't lose a whole lot of weight, but she did the work. She saw the changes. I saw the changes, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. And that's huge. Because once you start seeing it, like I said, your mind just opens up to all the possibilities. You're willing to do the work that much harder. You're willing to continue moving forward, focusing on what you need to do. So reward yourself in a healthy, active way. I'm not saying, hey, I lost 5 pounds, I'm going to go enjoy an ice cream. I'm not saying don't do that. Just don't do that all the time. You know, enjoy yourself. If you like to read, go buy yourself a nice book, sit down and read. You know, you like music, you know, download some songs and listen to them. You know, hey, you know, you've had a hard day, go for a walk, clear your head. Little things like that, that reward yourself for doing the work, for being intentional. And expect goals to change over time. I mentioned that earlier. Mine continue to change, and they will continue to change over time. Let's see here. All right. So this is the last one before we get to the Q&A, and we're not too bad. I'm only a couple of minutes over. Think forever, not for now. And that's where the lifestyle change I talked about a moment ago comes into play. The plan you need to follow, that you should follow, again, it's not one size fits all. It needs to be something that suits you best, that works best for you. And again, that's got to come from here and from here. The plan you need to follow reflects who you are, what you're trying to accomplish, what your goals are, and frankly, how you want to get there, what it's going to take, and what you want to come out of it. Think ahead to when I reach that goal, when I lose those 30 pounds in 6 months, what is that going to do for me? How is it going to change my life? How is it going to change my family's life? You know, that's because it's, again, generational health. It's not just about us individually. It impacts who we are, how we think, what our mindset is at, where we are emotionally, mentally. That impacts everyone and everything around us. So if we're not in line with where we need to be, everything else is going to be out of place as well. When we're in line with our mindset, everything just has this magical way of falling into place. Here's the takeaway from that. Now, for example, if you're trying to lose 30 pounds in 6 months, let's say, hooray, congratulations, you lost the 30 pounds in 6 months. You reached your goal. Now what? I've known too many people who have worked so hard to lose weight and get in shape, only to not have a plan B and then gain it all back again and more. That's the worst feeling in the world. I know, because that was me time and time again. I'd gain it, I'd lose it. I'd gain it, I'd lose it. I mean, just, again, up and down, hamster on the wheel, not getting anywhere fast. So when you reach your goals, you got to have one of two things in place. Either the confidence and the knowledge that you can stick with that plan A long-term, that it's going to become part of your new lifestyle change, or you have to have a plan B, something you're going to transition to. Once again, making sure you have that in place. But again, you got to sit down and really talk to yourself about it. I'll talk out loud. I talk to myself all the time. It's when I start answering myself, then it becomes a problem. But have that plan in place to make sure you can continue long-term, because this is forever. Like I said, think forever. This is for the rest of your life, not just for a short period of time. Diets, you know, those have a beginning and an end. Our life doesn't. I mean, well, I guess it does. Beginning when we're born, end when we're dead, but we have a long time in between. So think forever, however long that is. So either prepare to maintain what you have or prepare to transition to something new. Otherwise, you run the risk of getting off track once again. And that's the last thing I want to see anybody do. Because, how do you like my designs, people? I'm so creative here, aren't I? Bunch of arrows and whatnot. Your mindset creates your destiny. Now, and I found that I didn't design that because I'm not that good. Your mindset creates your destiny. How, the way you think, when you believe, if you believe, the mind believes, the body will follow. If you believe in yourself, if I didn't believe in myself, I wouldn't be here talking to you today, sharing some value with you today. I wouldn't be doing that. My life would have gone in a completely different direction. So your mindset, that's where it begins and ends. If you want to get healthy eating wise, if you want to get healthy in the gym, it begins right here with your mindset. It has to happen that way. Absolutely has to happen that way. All right. Anybody have any questions? Feel free to unmute now. If it looks like I'm kind of trying to, shade the sun out of my eyes, I made the decision of being facing the window, and now the sun is right in my eyes. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. Any comments you want to share, any thoughts you want to share, anything that I didn't cover that you'd want me to cover, more than happy to. Anybody, feel free. Otherwise, I can go on to that special offer, that gift that I told you about earlier. Anyone? Come on, people, we got to have something.
It was a good show.
Hey, Mr. Victor.
Hey, Colton, how are you, sir? Good to see
Surprise.
you. Surprise! Well, it's a pleasant surprise. It's a good surprise.
Somebody was talking, you interrupted.
I
Sorry.
no, you're fine. You're fine. If Colton has a question, he's more than welcome to ask. Anybody have any questions, comments, thoughts that you want to share? Like I said, you can throw them in the Zoom chat as well if you'd like, that I can address them with here on air or afterwards one-on-one. But feel free to ask any questions you'd like. I'd like some questions. Contrary to popular belief, I don't like the sound of my own voice. So I'm not going to sit here and talk for an hour for any other reason than to help people. So
I have a question. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Don't crash your car though. That's all I ask.
I was successful unmuting, so just checking.
Go ahead. What's your question, Cheryl?
No, I don't. I'm just,
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was, I mean, I'm sure others feel the same way. Like, your story is quite inspirational. And I appreciate it because, I know for me, I've gone through similar experiences of up and down. I can do it, I can't do it. And hearing that the trainer that I have has experienced that versus, not to put down the young kids that haven't lived life enough yet, but sometimes they don't understand what we go through when we've had to do this journey up and down all the time. So it's not a question, it's just a note of appreciation to you.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate that, Cheryl. Thank you very much. And obviously, Cheryl is a client of mine currently. And so your check's in the mail for saying all those nice things.
Thank you.
But so that's why I say when I see my clients succeeding, it makes me think back to where I was, and the point I've gotten to now and continue to get to, and it makes me, yes, this is this is how I make a living. This is my livelihood, and this is how I pay the bills, keep a roof over their head, all that great stuff. But I wouldn't be doing it if it was just about the money. I left a career after 26 years because it became just about the money, just about making that paycheck every 2 weeks. I want to help people. I want to see people experience what I was able to experience. Because when you get past that threshold mentally, and that's the toughest thing to do, losing the weight's the easy part. Building muscle's the easy part. It's getting through here, that's the hard part. And when I see somebody make that breakthrough, as all my clients have in their own way, shape, and form, I'll be honest with you, I might be more excited than even they are. And I know they're excited about it. So I definitely appreciate what you said. I can certainly, obviously, I love sharing my story for that very reason. If it gives even one person a little added inspiration or motivation, then I feel like I've done my job. Paul had a question. I'm going to look on here. Paul says, when you have someone who reaches his or her goal, how would you advise he or she to not backslide and lose all the gains they worked so hard to attain? Great question. Lifestyle change. It has to be intentional. It has to be consistent. Because again, it's habit forming. When we do something day in and day out the right way all the time, and we're consistent and intentional with that, with what we're doing, it becomes habit forming. Let's face it. Give you an example. If I had an apple and a bag of chips in front of me, 248.2 pound Victor walking up to that bag of chips and an apple, what's he going to instinctively do? Grab the chips, because that's what my mind has taught my body over all those years. I want the chips. That's what I'm craving. Now, what do? I've gotten to a point where I instinctively grab that apple. That didn't happen overnight. That took a long, long time of making consistently good choices, making sure I'm staying within my plan, staying within my simple plan, and being consistent with it. You know, again, we're just talking about habits, whether they're negative or positive. We don't think about them when they're ingrained. We just do them. It's instinctive. It's like breathing. You know, so I would tell anyone to not backslide. Make sure that plan that you're using still works for you, and make the necessary changes as you see fit. And certainly seek out help if you need help with that. I'm always here, of course. You know, but stay consistent within your habits, because at that point, you know, you either wanting to maintain or you have new goals in mind. You know, so if you stay consistent with it and it becomes a part of your everyday routine, everyday life, guess what? You're going to keep doing it. You're going to keep moving forward with it. And it's really, dare I say, going to seem easy. I mean, I hate to say that because it really isn't, but it's going to feel that way because you do it day in and day out. Anyone else? Come on, people. Sorry about your dog. No, I'm cool with that. Cool. Dogs are cool. I love dogs. I'm a dog person myself. Mine's in the other room because she would be in my lap wanting to be on camera. So as much as that, I'm sure everybody would have appreciated that. We wouldn't have gotten anything done today if that would have happened. I'm sorry, somebody was saying something.
Yeah, I enjoyed the show. It helped me organize my own thoughts, because there's a lot where I'm going, and setting the goals. I've got I don't have a goal. I have a string of goals. Mm-hmm. And that's what's going to stop my backsliding or anything else. My first goal is just the general improvement of my health, losing the weight, etc. Well, when I get to the point where I've got that health benefit, no matter what my weight is, once I get to that where I want to be health wise, then I've got a second goal that I'm going to step up from there. Because once I reach that goal, I'm not just going to stop. Now I've reached that goal. What's my next goal? Not holding on to this. Where am I going from here? How am I going to compound what I've done so far? So for me, that's going to stop the backsliding. I want to lose X amount of weight. I want to get my heart right. I want to get my lungs right. I want to get my weight right. Okay, so now let's train for powerlifting or bodybuilding or whatever competition. Anything along those lines. I mean, I'm 56, and but I've got an 8-year-old child, and I want to see that child grow up and get married and have babies and so forth. So I'm having to do a lot of work here. I had a good long career at the fire department, and I retired several years ago. But I've just gone back to work. I kept my paramedic license up, and now I'm working in an emergency room. And so this is yet another reason to keep myself healthy and fit, because I am surrounded by sick people. So the healthier I am, the better I can fight all that. I mean, right now my voice is a little crooked for me. That's what my daughter calls it. Oh, Daddy, your voice is crooked. So, but so because I'm fighting something off, but I can say that where I'm working right now with what I've done so far, knock on wood, I'm the only one that don't have COVID, or I'm the only one who hasn't got it yet. So I figure I'm doing something right.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely you are. And like you said, you have goals in mind, and you're going to continue moving forward, but you're focusing on today, what you're doing today, what you have to accomplish today to be that 1% better than you were yesterday.
Right.
And that's the key. It's not about completing the goal. Absolutely. You are. It's about making sure you take care of what you're doing today to be just a little bit better.
Oh, exactly.
Anyone else?
Yeah, somebody else jump in because I'll talk all day.
I must have covered everything then. Wow, I was that thorough? Never thought that would happen.
It was well organized.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. That's good to hear. I appreciate that. I had fun doing it. I'm glad everybody was able to join in. There were more unfortunate that weren't able to join in that signed up, which is fine. I'm going to send everybody the recording once we're done here, including all of you. So if there's anything you missed or you joined us late, or anything like that, not to worry. You're going to be able to see it and listen to it from start to finish in all its glory. If anyone else going once, going twice, sold. All right. Well, then I'll go ahead and let you know about the special offer. I'm going to downsize that. And again, if anybody else has any other questions, as you can see, I'm in the sunlight. I'm being washed out here. I open my blinds, and of course, the sun is right in my face now. But if anybody has any other questions that come up after we're done, feel free to reach out to me. Shoot me a DM. Like I said, I'll post a follow up on this on Facebook, so you're welcome to send messages. So I think some of you have my cell phone number. Feel free to call, text. You have my email, all that. I'm always available. I'll always get back to you as quickly as possible. But now on to the fun stuff. My special offer in big bold letters here. First thing is, everybody's going to get a free gift, as I said at the beginning of the webinar. And part of what I'm doing is I'm also announcing the official launch of my new membership program called Fit Family Foundations. And everyone that joined in is going to get one free video from that membership program, one free mindset training video. And let me double check what the name of it is. I think it's how to establish a lifestyle change, I believe, is the one that everybody's going to get. So you're going to get that for free, no questions asked, and it's yours to keep forever and ever and ever, to look back on and, with fondness, or wonder what the hell this guy was talking about. He has no clue. So however you view it, you're getting it absolutely free. And if you are interested, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more here before we wrap things up, if you are interested in learning more about my new program, Fit Family Foundations program, that one free training video is coming from, so that's going to kind of give you a taste of what it's all about. There's the web address down below, fernandezfit.com/apply, to complete an application. And I do that specifically. If you remember at the beginning, I said that I wasn't selling anything to anybody today. No money's exchanging hands today. And there's a reason for that. Because this program, as excited as I am about it, isn't for everyone. Everyone's different. It's not a one-size-fits-all type of program. It's for people that truly want to change their lives and want the blueprint to make it happen. Want to have the step-by-step instructions on how to make that happen. So what I always, if anybody's interested, and I hope you all are, if anybody's interested, I definitely recommend taking down this web address, fernandezfit.com/apply. You can also go to fernandezfit.com. That's my main website, and click on Fit Family Foundations link, or the icon at the top of the screen, and it'll take you to the application. Go ahead and fill out the application. It's just a few questions, take you just a couple of minutes, and then I'll be in touch with you, and we'll schedule a one-on-one call to be able to sit down and really delve into what it is you want to accomplish, and what you're willing to do to make it happen. Because the idea is this is tools in your bag, tools that you can capitalize on, take advantage of, and be able to utilize to help yourself reach the goals that you want to reach, develop that lifestyle you want to develop. But again, how badly do you want it? What are you willing to do to make that happen? So that's why I do that. So that's why I'm not selling anything today. Feel free to fill out that application if you see fit, and you got my contact information below. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, snap a photo, write it down. Again, I'll have this, I have the replay link here in a little while, so you'll be able to get it from there as well. Here's what it's all about. Fit Family Foundations. This was a 4-month labor of love, where I thought of, where except for my family and my clients and myself, this is what I thought about most every day. And that's why I'm so excited about it. And it's got 20, I went back and counted, 20 training videos outlining a step-by-step plan in the 4 main aspects, facets of a successful health and fitness program. And that's mindset, which we talked about today at length, goal setting, nutrition, and fitness. You're going to get a nutritional ebook written by me with simple and effective tips on building that strong foundation of healthy habits, eating habits, and keys to maintaining a long-term nutritional plan. If you notice, I didn't say the word diet. And I don't think I said the word diet in any of these videos. I have to go back and look. I hate that word. It's a 4-letter word in my vocabulary. You get 60 sample meal plans, highlighting diets ranging from balanced diet to keto diet, Mediterranean, vegan, vegetarian, and a whole bunch of in between. I think there's 10 or 12 in there all told, 12 different diet plans that we've all heard of. And a lot of us may have tried at some point in time or another. You get 2 fitness ebooks, 2 of them, 2 separate ones, featuring a pair of 12-week home and gym separate training plans with warm-ups, with workouts, with cool downs and stretches. And the coolest part about it is that every exercise comes with a clickable link. This is all PDF, comes with a clickable link that you can click on and actually see videos of yours truly performing each exercise. So if you're not sure how to do a particular exercise, you're going to see that. Now, those of you who are already trained with me, you're getting this whole program free. It's included in your program. I'm pretty sure I've told you that, guys. I told you that already, but if I haven't, I'm telling you that now. So you already have this as part of your program. You actually should have all login information for all that. Then you have monthly group calls on Zoom, much like we're doing now, but much more interaction. It's a community we're building, which ties into the Facebook community that I've created. Some of you are already members of Fit Family Foundations. It's a select group. It's a paid group. You're going to see, I'm going to talk to you about the prices here in just a moment. But again, it's a community that comes together that's there for the same reason. We all want to be the best version of ourselves. And here's an opportunity to not do it alone, to do it together with people who are in the same boat as you are. And all this, I don't want to sound like one of those infomercials at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday morning that you see when you can't sleep. But all this right here, you're getting for $100 a month for 1 year, or $9.97 if you pay in full for 1 year up front. That's a $203 discount. Yes, I did math. I know that's not my strong suit, but that is correct. I checked. 1 year commitment is required, and there's a reason for that. Because let's face it, it's a fitness journey. We talk about how it's a marathon, not a sprint. That's what we're talking about. True health and fitness, developing that true healthy and fit version of ourselves, the best version of ourselves, takes time. But think about this. Think about all those years, and in my case, decades, where we screwed up in every which way possible. And we paid the ultimate price with our lack of health and fitness, without being the best version of ourselves that we want to be. 2 decades for me, easy. Now imagine taking that time over the next 12 months, 1 year, to correct all of that, to correct it and keep it that way. I mean, think about it for a second. What's that worth to you? Can you put a price on that? I know I can't. But I'm doing it this way. I'm pricing it where it is because I want to eliminate any of the fears, financial fears, economic fears. We all have them. I had them when I hired a trainer. And I can tell you I paid a hell of a lot more than that. I wanted to eliminate all that because I didn't want to make this about me making money. It's about helping change lives and giving you the tools in your bag to make that happen. Everybody happy today? Everybody get value today? Lie to me if you didn't.
Value.
Lie to me if you didn't. I know my family wouldn't, but please lie to me if you did. But seriously, I hope you all got value from this today, that you all came away with something from this today, that something I said along the way over the last hour and a half, actually, we're right on schedule. I love it. Love when a plan comes together. That you came away and something resonated with you. Because if that happened, I'm happy. I feel like I did my job and I can move forward knowing that I helped somebody. Everybody good? Any further questions? Anyone? Before we wrap things up? All right. Well, everybody, I truly appreciate you joining me today. For the people that we had, it was lively. I loved it. I enjoyed talking with everybody. I enjoyed having an opportunity to share my story and some information with you. I hope you came away with something. And if you got value today, I did my job, and I hope you did. I want to thank everybody again. Let me know if you're interested. Fill out that application. We'll get a one-on-one call hooked up. And you all have the rest of the day. Go out, do it on purpose. Go out and do something, do it on purpose. Take care, everybody.